Well, Carlsen played knight c6 here, and knight c to b5, beautiful sacrifice, spot on here, not missing his tactics. Esipenko goes with it, and after knight c6, p6, queen c3, we see a double attack there, beautiful one with the king stuck in the center. Esipenko wins his piece back, and also a number of pawns along the way. Let's see how Esipenko took down the world number one here in this game by going back in time and looking at it from the start. This is Anurag, and let's get started with this beautiful and exciting game, shall we? Well, coming to the round 8 of the Tata Steel, ongoing Tata Steel, there have been quite a lot of exciting turns and events throughout the tournament, but today we'll see an exciting one between Andrey Esipenko and the world number one, the current world number one, the world champion, Magnus Carlsen, going down here in a beautiful Sicilian game, an exciting game to look out to. We did see a short glimpse of it a while ago, and we will get there pretty soon. Stay tuned, guys. If you do enjoy it, do hit the subscribe button, and let's get started with the video, or rather the game analysis. So e4, c5, knight f3, a d6, d4, cd4, knight d4, everybody knows this. Knight f6, knight c3, and a6, we have a knight's off here on the board. Nothing out of the ordinary. Esipenko is white, by the way, guys. Carlsen is black. Bishop e2, let's say not the most exciting form of knight's off, but that's not what it turned out to be. After e6, not going for the usual e5 here, Carlsen. Staying in the e6 territories, we see bishop e3, bishop e7, g4. There are a lot of other moves and a lot of vast theory here in Natsdorf, but we are not going to go into that at the moment. That'll take a whole lot more than one video. So we are going to stick to what happens in the game and see the exciting part about it. Because after b5, g5, the pawn is on its way. Development is not the key. This is Natsdorf, and people do prepare and look at a lot of different things. This has been analyzed to the core, so don't get excited about playing g5. Do understand why you're doing it. And after knight d7, a3, stopping b4. Any threats there? The knight is kind of stable here and likes to be here. Doesn't want to go anywhere. Bishop g5 offering a free pawn though, but we do get a low open file here for the rook to go along to later. That speeds up our attack. So clearly not going to castle on the king side here, surely. Queen d2, bishop e3, queen into e3, and here I found a little bit of an odd choice by the move queen h4. It does not make too much sense if white is anyways going to castle on the queen side, and then after rook at g1, like what is the queen going to do here really? Is he going to capture on h2? Doesn't seem like it. It doesn't look very logical to me. I felt like maybe something to do with bb7 directly would be the slightly better choice here in this position. But that's not what Carlsen looked at. And Carlsen, maybe I was expecting bb7, castle, queen e7. Seems a little more natural and logical to me. But Carlsen goes with queen h4. And let's see what happened after this. Because after rook g1, attacking the g7 pawn, Carlsen defends it rightly so with g6. And after castling, white has nearly completed his development and has some beautiful ideas coming soon on the board that we will soon witness, like we have already seen a short glimpse earlier. But I think one common thing is, let's say, an idea of f4, pushing the pawns ahead, trying to create a breakthrough in the position with f5 later. Maybe e5, opening up some key squares and diagonals. Some of the important ideas that we can look forward to. This queen, as it is vulnerable in h4. There are some other fireworks, like knight into b5, we see it. Knight into e6, well, looks interesting and something that we can always look out to in Sicilian. Let's see what happened in the game, because after queen e7, white just played f4, just consolidating, no rush, no need to sacrifice immediately. Bishop b7, just king b1. What a cool move here. King b1, getting the king out of any kind of checking zones. You don't have a move. King b1, one common thing in Sicilian, a waiting move. Get a beautiful one, because it tends to also secure the king against some ideas. Maybe in the near future, maybe you don't need it. We don't know. But after knight c6, which was maybe seen, maybe Carlsen saw it, maybe he did not see it. I don't know for sure. I was not seeing the video. But beautiful sacrifice here by Esipenko. And that is knight b5. And what a start here. A into b5, knight c6, bishop c6, and queen c3. The double attack is beautiful here because we tend to win the bishop back. We did sacrifice a pawn in the opening. We win that back. And a few more after that, which gives us quite a strong position to play with. It's not over yet, guys. It's not over yet. So there's a lot more to it. And after castling queen into c6, D5 was a nice move there by Carlsen. You need to complicate things when you're in, let's say, a minus position. You're going to lose material. It's better to complicate things. Another way would be B4, trying to create some play openings on the board. Very key when you're already, let's say, you think you're in a minus position. This is the best way to approach it. Queen into D6, though, will probably finish the game pretty soon, and a player of Esipenko's caliber should have seen it, and probably Carlsen also may have seen it. So after Queen to D6, A into B4, I think White is having three connected pawns here, and that's safe to say without the queens on the board, it will be difficult, really difficult for Black to start anything, and White should be clearly better here. So that's not what happened. And D5 on the board, trying to create more complications, but in the center, not allowing the queen exchange. E into D5, Rook F8. Now here I was also wondering if E into D5, this is what I was going to play. For example, my point of view is after Bishop B5, we can easily go with Knight F6. Further, let's say get the rook to C8, let's say rook A to B8, get Knight E4, get the knight in the game and get some play going here. I think Black still is in the game here. White needs to play a little more precisely. And coming to other choices, like for example, queen into d5, there is queen into e2, and after queen into d7, there is something like b4 also as a thought which can be given to, like after ab4, you have queen a6. Some complications are flying around there, and some dangerous ideas can be played out here easily. And it looks good. Black seems to be okay here. There may be other precise moves, guys. Like there may be something to do with rook into d5 also. But sorry, my bad. Queen into e2, rook into d7, and b4. And I still feel like, Black has quite a lot. Maybe even rook fc8, rook ac8. There are quite a lot of options here Black can play for. So I feel like that would have been better. But Carlsen goes with rook fc8 with some other ideas. Let's witness it. And d6 was a good move because you're going to be a little material up, and after looking to c6, d into e7 with an attack here on the d7 knight, and once the knight moves, there is just rook d8 popping in here. I think it's safe to say that after rook c7 and bishop into b5, it's time for Black to put his hands up and give in. But that's again not what happens in the game. Queen d8, I think, was played in the game, and after this, Esipenko plays queen into b5, boldly capturing that b5 pawn. My. That's a really bold move, because normally you would expect the queen to just come back, use that pawn as a shield for this lone king here on b1. But no, Esipenko is a daredevil, and he picks up that b5 pawn, goes for it, allows this sacrifice here, rook c b8, queen a4, and queen c4, and rook into a3. By the way, there was another sacrifice with rook into a3, which had some merit to it. For example, b into a3, rook b8. But the position is kind of unclear after, let's say, we get rook g3 and we get that other rook in the game. And I think it's safe to say that white should be better here. But again, possibilities are endless. When you're in the minus position, you always try to consider as much as possible to complicate things. That's the goal. So after queen b5, rook b8, queen c, well, maybe you could have considered queen f6 as a possibility, which is indeed met with queen d4. Maybe get the knight in here and the queen goes to c7, queen f6. Again, complicate things more with knight a4 popping in here. I think still plays endless here, and I think this might be getting crazy. Maybe white might slip that win away. He'll have to play a little accurately, and I think the best move indeed is queen d4. And after knight a4, we have to push b4 here. Again, does not look very right here with the king on b1, knight coming to c3. Feels doesn't feel right. But that's the way you have to approach this position. So that was the Esipenko's thought, probably because he went with queen b5, a bold choice. But Carlsen went with rook into a3 here, capturing the pawn, and Esipenko clearly goes with queen g7. Your material up, you have two connected pawns, in fact three if you count the d6 pawn. Then the best idea, just exchange the major pieces off, make it easy for us. So queen e8 played, and I think after queen f6, I think we should see queen into b8, knight into b8, and b into a3. Two rooks for the queen, with again a strong d pawn to support your claim. Other rook joining in soon. I think white should be clearly better here. So Carlsen went with queen e8, and then we see a rook g5, a beautiful rook lift, bringing the rook suddenly out of nowhere towards the side where it's actually needed, because you're already material up. You don't need to go for the mate on the g5. You're going to get that rook in the game, support it with your other pieces, kill that attack and use your past pawns, which are there to the fullest potential. And that's what probably Esipenko was aiming for. It's a simple human nature to do that. And after rook a4, rook a5 trying to go for some important exchanges. Rook b4 was played. Clearly, exchanges are not very ideal for Carlsen here. He's trying his best, his level best. b3 and rook b7, kicking the queen, but then comes queen c3, just pulling the queen back. Everything under control now. Some pieces just need to be regrouped. Very difficult for Carlsen to create play because the knight also is having difficulties coming to the appropriate squares. For example, if you go knight b6, there are some moves like bishop a6 which are very annoying here. Append and we could win an exchange more so. So very difficult for him to get that knight in the game. Similarly, making a pass pawn seems like a distant possibility because it's right where the king is. The more he moves the pawns, the more weaknesses he creates. I mean, it's an open target. Rook e1 and some extra targets to attack here. Clearly not something what Carlsen wants to face. And does queen d8, trying to get more pieces. Probably maybe the best way, but just not enough here with Esipenko playing beautiful, simple moves and a simple plan. Queen f6, rook a8, simple ideas, not interested in this because could you find it? You can take a rough look at it and tell me if you could find out black's best combination here. Well, if you did it, then that's excellent because if you manage to get rook into b3, then that's brilliant because after rook b3, no matter where the king goes, you're getting mated here, and if the king goes here, you are getting mated either way, I guess. c3 or b2, you can get mated with both the moves. Brilliant, isn't it? But that's definitely not what Esipenko does, and he spins this rook. So no longer do you have rook b3 because the rook is pinned. You cannot capture b3 because of that pin. And that's a brilliant way to defense, an active defense. We have done this in a Midgame series. If you haven't watched it, you can definitely check it out, guys. A Midgame, I have had a Midgame series earlier. You can definitely have a look at that. Rook 8, defending it beautifully here. Rook into 8, bishop 8. The more the pieces go off the board, the easier it is for white to convert the advantage. And that's what is going to be seen here pretty soon. It's not going to be too long for this game to finish because after king b2, I mean, this is brilliant, isn't it? What a move here. Just a simple move, keeping everything under control, not showing any intent to go for something like queen into b3 and let that win slip away. In fact, rook into b3, king here, and you get mated with queen a5 once again. You have to be very careful in these positions. King c1, queen into f4, rook d2, and I mean, you can definitely force a draw here. Maybe you can look for more with rook a3. Either thing, I think white does not really want to face this because he's clearly winning. He does not want to go into these complications, clearly. So, king b2, a simple king move, taking care of everything. Rook b5, if queen f6, just even bring the queen back to c3. Force an exchange maybe, and simple queen into c4, maybe queen c8, king moves, and maybe now you can just pick up that knight on d7. Keep it simple, just a piece up now. And after rook b5, we have queen into d7, a couple of more moves. Rook c5, rook c1, again a simple move, not risking anything against the world champion. You don't want to go into any risk. You don't want to get your rook into an unprotected space. Esipenko keeps it very simple and precise here. Queen into f4, for example, queen f6, and you don't want to play rook king here and allow rook a5 check and you get mated on a1 or you lose the queen in the process. Clearly just c3, everything is under control. Everything, no checks anymore. Simple. That's the way to go here. You're winning, keep it simple. And that's what Esipenko shows here because after queen into f4, queen e8, d7, Carlsen just had enough here and threw in the towel because after queen e5, c3, queen e2, rook c2, I think the checks are pretty much over and the queen is on his way to promote to the next queen, in fact. And a beautiful finish here, Esipenko, keeping it simple, not missing out on the opportunities and showing us a beautiful game here in the Sicilian Najdorf. A model game for some. So if you did like this video, then do hit the like button. If you have any suggestions, the comment section down below. And we will see you soon in the next one. Until then, have a nice day. Goodbye.